Morning, my friends. I'm Pastor Ben Hayes from First Baptist Church, Dadeville, Alabama, bringing you our thought for the day on this very thankful Thursday. I'm recording this on Wednesday because I've got a busy day tomorrow, but for you, it's today. So pray for me, pray for our people, and just trust the Lord to do amazing things, and He is going to do that. We're in Romans chapter 8, picking up in verse 35. And yesterday we talked about some what I called rhetorical questions, those kind of questions that either don't expect an answer or the answer is so obvious that there is no answer needed. Things like if God is for us, who can be against us? If God has given His own Son, what more will He freely give us? Who shall bring a charge against God's elect? Who is He who condemns? And think about this. All of those questions are, hey, nobody can. Because God loves us so much and has given us so much through His Son, He's got us. And Jesus is there making intercession for us. Well, we pick up with another rhetorical question in verse 35. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Can I tell you? Absolutely no one and nothing. See, that's why this is one of those rhetorical questions. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? He died for us. He died for us. He gave His life. He shed His blood. He went through humiliation and pain for us. Who could ever separate us from that kind of love? It holds on tightly. It covers us in every aspect. And then Paul goes on and he tries to help us to understand that very point. He says, shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness, or peril, or sword? Can any of those things separate us from the love of Christ? No, I can tell you that when tribulation comes, His love is even greater as He is there with us, going through the difficult times with us. I'm reminded of Exodus chapter 3. When the people of Israel were in such desperate straits, they were struggling, their kids were being killed, they were dying, they were being forced into labor that was unbelievable, and they cried out to God. And it tells us that God knew what they were feeling. He had entered into that experience with them because of His great love. And of course, immediately He prepared to deliver them. So tribulation's not going to do it. Distress, those times when we're worried about things, when we get those bad diagnoses, when we find out that we've got a financial situation that we can't seem to overcome, when our child is hurting, whatever it might be, when we find those times when we're emotionally involved, can that separate us from the love of God? Absolutely not. Because in those moments, He enters into our pain with us. He's right there with us. Persecution. We don't face persecution here in the United States, at least not like the rest of the world. It's coming. I believe that with all of my heart. But in the midst of persecution, He has promised to be with us. In fact, He tells the disciples that when they're called before the judge, not even give thought of what they're going to say, because He will give them the words to say. He'll be right there. That's why I believe that as believers, when we face that persecution, even up to the point of death, God gives us the grace and the strength to stay strong. The elect will persevere all the way to the end, even in the face of persecution. Why? Because nothing can separate us from the love of Christ. Famine? No. Nakedness? No. Peril? No. Sword? No. No matter whether it's war or natural disaster, the love of God is right there with us. And we have folks that are struggling right now because of the tornadoes on Monday night and into Tuesday morning. They have experienced natural disaster. Probably will be some more this coming Friday. And in spite of it all, God continues to love them. One of the great things that I love about Southern Baptists, and especially Alabama Baptists, is we care about those people who are hurting. And Christ uses us as His hands and His feet to minister to them in those times of natural disaster. Our Alabama Baptist disaster relief teams are on the ground in Dothan, and I'm sure there are some in Panama City. There will be more this Friday working. And it's because of the love of Christ in our hearts and Him using us to minister to others. So nothing can separate us from that love. Now listen to what He says. Verse 36, as it is written, for your sake we are killed all day long. We are accounted as sheep for the slaughter. He's talking about Jesus. Jesus is the one who went through this for us. And because He was willing to do that, we can trust in the fact that He will never leave us nor forsake us, just as He promised. Think about that today. Whatever your situation is, know that nothing can separate you from the love of God. Nothing can keep you apart from Him. Be blessed. I'll see you back here tomorrow.